Over the last several years, we at Microsoft Advertising have been researching and learning about authenticity, trust, brand love, inclusion, and how brands can work toward building a better, more inclusive future. I like to think about this from an existential point of view. Existentialism is a philosophical theory rooted in the idea that every individual has the freedom of choice. If you think about existential psychology, one of the primary tenets is around finding your meaning and purpose in life and then making choices that align. We as humans construct our own meaning and purpose in this world. If we don't have that, we flounder. We believe that business operates the same way. By finding our purpose and continually working toward it, we create the most powerful products and experiences possible for our brands. Our mission at Microsoft is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Within Microsoft Advertising, we believe that one of the keys to truly empowering people and organizations is through marketing with purpose. The interesting thing about marketing with purpose, though, is that it takes more than just a marketing organization to implement. It takes the entire business. Within Microsoft, we empower inclusive thinking through building inclusivity into our core priorities, our mission statement, our hiring practices, and more. Today, I'm going to share key considerations on building an inclusive brand and marketing with purpose. So, what will you learn today? Well, first, you will learn what it means to really think inclusively and to market with purpose. Secondly, you will learn some great examples of brands who are applying these principles within retail. And then finally, we will talk about the power of purpose as I share some stats on the impact of building inclusivity. We will root our conversation in the idea of inclusive thinking. Inclusive thinking within a marketing with purpose context is simple. It is made up of 3 areas. First, inclusive products, or what you market. Second, inclusive audiences, or who you market to. And finally, third, inclusive strategy, or how you market to them. By applying this framework of inclusive thinking, we begin to discover new opportunities, ways to engage new audiences, and our core audience in new and exciting ways. I want to begin with an illustration of a product that you may be familiar with and one of our very own, the Xbox Adaptive Controller. But before we dig into this example, let me share with you what this is all about so that you can see how the idea of inclusive thinking unfolds in this example. So how do we change our mindset to find these opportunities? How do we shift the way that we see our businesses and the opportunities within our business? Proximity. We get close to our customers. If you get close to people, especially and almost as a requirement, people unlike yourself, you will learn what it is like to be in their shoes, what it is like for them, how they might be excluded from an experience, a product, a piece of information that could help them participate just like your core audience does. And that is empathy. Empathy gives you insight, and insight drives innovation. And that allows you to solve for that exclusion that you uncovered and really create that business impact. Did you know that inclusive approaches to business report 3 times higher levels of innovation and better decision making? Now, I am a researcher, and I'm sure that most of you make data-driven decisions. You don't make those decisions on small data sets or homogeneous ones, no, and we need to think about our business in the same way. We need to inclusively think. And that inclusive thinking is what drives innovation and enables us to create inclusive products that remove those barriers or exclusions. So now, let's take a look at inclusive thinking in action and how a group of individuals at Microsoft really exemplified marketing with purpose. A group of Microsoft employees had deliberate curiosity. Annually, the largest private science fair in the world, Satya, our CEO, started an event where employees participate in a 3-day-long hackathon, where many of our dreams as employees of building things to empower people, new inventions come true. This specific example started as a hackathon concept and was designed inclusively through getting close and partnering with the Able Gamers Foundation, the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, Special Effect, Warfighter Engage, Craig Hospital, and many, many more community members. And that idea became a product. The adaptive controller, shown in the bottom right, was released to the public. Feedback from these groups helped directly design the functionality of the controller. Now, as you can see, it has a similar aesthetic as the original controller, but because no one person's ability or disability is the same, there are so many customizable ports in the back to connect thumbsticks, buttons, triggers. Any 3.5mm jack can be connected. So much more customizable functionality. But the interesting thing here is that it was designed for those with disabilities to game, but now they're using it for computing. So I want you to consider this marketing with purpose principle, that when you design for the edge, you design for all, or accessibility for one becomes usability for all. Now, the Xbox team did not stop with an inclusively designed product. They thought, how can we ensure that this audience was not excluded from the experience of opening the box to their controller? Give them the excitement of opening that box. So how many of us, and I know that this happens to me, when I try to open a box, I almost damage the very thing that I bought because the box is just so frustrating to open. Not this one. With a few pulls on an easy to grasp loop, this box literally just falls open. Who wouldn't want a package that opens like that? And some food for thought, but gaming is not just for the young either. Gamers are aging, and studies show that it has a tremendous impact on mental sharpness, mobility, dexterity, all factors to consider for an aging population. So design for one, and you end up designing and delighting all. This gives us a brilliant example of how proximity led to innovation. By getting to know their audience in a deep way, the team built empathy and innovated in a way that changed the lives of a group that is typically not considered. And it allowed for Microsoft to have these individuals tell their own story in this ad, bringing inclusive marketing to life. Let's take a look.
My name is Grover.
Sean. My name is Ian.
I'm Taylor.
My name is Owen, and I am 9.5 years old.
So Owen was born with a rare genetic disorder called Escobar syndrome.
He's had 33 surgeries to date.
I love video games, my friends, my family, and again video games.
It's his way of interacting with his friends when he can't physically otherwise do it.
What I like about the adaptive controller is now everyone can play. You can just say, all right, that's that button, that's that button, that's that button. Perfect.
One of the biggest fears early on is, how will Owen be viewed by the other kids? He's not different when he plays.
No matter how your body is or how fast you are, you can play. It's a really good thing to have in this world.
When we look back to the framework, we have examples of all the elements of inclusive thinking in play. The team developed proximity to an audience that had been previously excluded, namely the 1.2 billion people worldwide that live with some form of disability. They learned about the various barriers and challenges that individuals with disabilities face when gaming, and from this proximity, they developed new insights, which led to the innovation of a new inclusive product and allowed for the audience to tell their own stories. Brands have been realizing the importance of inclusive thinking on deep levels and making it a part of their business practice. These brands stand out in a saturated market. Another example of a brand who really demonstrated inclusive thinking is Tommy Hilfiger with their line Tommy Adaptive. At Microsoft Advertising, we wanted to understand the impact of inclusive marketing campaigns, learning what makes an ad inclusive and what key performance indicators are actually improved with inclusive marketing strategies. So to understand this, we looked at a wide range of advertisements to try to learn specific cues that may impact intent and perceptions. We chose Tommy Hilfiger for a couple of reasons. First, they have a tremendous spectrum of creative, some with one person, two people or more, a spectrum of abilities, ethnicities, ages. And we asked participants to rank these ads on two elements, appeal and inclusion. Now first, two ads were essentially tied as most appealing. One was not inclusive and one represented a wide range of diversity. When we looked at why people selected these ads, for the Gigi Hadid ad, it was selected because she was a well-known model, she looked relaxed and comfortable, and the wood paneling gave the image a homey vibe. For the inclusive ad, people felt the representation was refreshing and eye-catching. They looked like everyday people. And when we broke down the performance, the inclusive ad blew the non-inclusive ad out of the water with a 23% top box lift, as opposed to the 10% lift in the non-inclusive ad. People said that it made the brand feel more authentic and genuine. It made them feel seen. While the supermodel is appealing and people like the look of the ad, at the end of the day, representation was what drove the purchase intent. So we wanted to ensure that the lift was not driven by a particular group or that a particular group did not actually decrease in their intent when seeing an inclusive ad. And what we found was that women were 44% more likely to purchase after seeing an inclusive ad than men, with a 26-point purchase intent lift. However, there was still an 18-point purchase intent lift for men. There was a 38-point lift for Caucasians and an 11-point lift for ethnic minorities. It's also important to note that the ethnic minority group already maintained a high purchase intent before seeing the ads. Therefore, the opportunity for lift was lessened by already strong perceptions. So as we uncovered this awesome impact, we had to share the news with both Tommy and Winderman Thompson. Our very own MJ De Palma was able to sit down with Sarah Horton from Tommy Hilfiger and Christina Mellon from Winderman Thompson, specifically around the rise of Tommy Adaptive, hoping to uncover more about how they were thinking about innovation in this space. Now, from a business standpoint, entering the space made sense. As Christina stated, 1 in 4 people have a disability, but 4 in 5 people love someone with a disability. This is an $8 to $9 trillion opportunity, which Tommy Adaptive has been able to tap into. In fact, 80% of Tommy Adaptive customers over the last 2 years have been new to brand. They are realizing a huge opportunity because they recognize exclusion, gained insight from those being excluded, and helped to remove the barriers by creating innovation and in the apparel industry. While both Tommy Adaptive and our own adaptive controller embody all 3 components of this framework, it does not mean that you have to go back to the drawing board to apply these principles of inclusion to your business. Brands with already established product lines can create more inclusive experiences, develop strong inclusive marketing strategies, and ensure a deep audience understanding. Another great example of deep audience understanding and really applying these inclusive principles to understanding their audience is Morrisons. Morrisons is a very large retailer in the UK. They decided to dig in and try to understand their customer base better than they ever have. And in their investigation, they uncovered that 1 in 5 customers had a friend or family member with autism, and they coupled that with an industry statistic. Now, did you know that there are over 700,000 people in the UK with autism? And 64% of these individuals report that they avoid shopping altogether. So Morrisons implemented quiet hours between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Saturdays in all 493 of their stores. Brilliant. They are realizing that this is a big opportunity to not just offer an enjoyable experience to customers, but to deliberately include a population that had previously been excluded. The effort generated positive responses from shoppers, and the grocer increased its reach into a market often ignored by retailers. As a mother to a kiddo on the spectrum, I can personally tell you how impactful providing experiences like this can be for individuals. Lesson learned, brands must embody inclusivity in all aspects of their business model, including the in-store experience. In-store experiences offer a tangible, visible way for brands to directly interact with consumers. Inclusive thinking and developing inclusive strategies is not just about considering accessibility either. Inclusive marketing is understanding what someone values and communicating your brand values. Remember that consumers are looking for brands that stand for something bigger than just their products. An inclusive marketing strategy is ensuring that everyone has access to a product, service, experience through inclusively designing for them. But it also means understanding their cultural heritage, the language that they prefer, their gender identity, ethnicity, and more. But most importantly, inclusive marketing is a manifestation of an authentic connection. So inclusion is about connecting with a full breadth of as much understanding with people, not just about representation in advertising, but a sense of meaningful connection, making a genuine effort to serve people, not just jump on a cause bandwagon or woke wash, or pretend that you get your audience, or do just enough to come off like you do. Rather, it's about making an honest effort to strive to authentically understand them and elicit that considered response that consumers have when they build a relationship with a friend, with your brand. That response being, I love this brand. They really see me, they get me, they know me. It's like any real relationship. It's about building trust over time and with actions. And that level of understanding leads to love, which leads to loyalty. I will come back and keep buying from this brand, and I will tell my friends. So I want to leave you with one final example of a brand who took the opportunity to create a holistic marketing strategy and walk you through some of the elements that were included in this strategy. Smirnoff. They deployed natural synergy and leading by example from the inside out, two more principles of successful inclusive marketing. Smirnoff used their influential platform to spread awareness about LGBTQ issues through a holistic, integrated long-term strategy. They deployed 3 strategies in the We're Open campaign, which was a global call for inclusivity covering issues around sexuality, gender, and inequality. The first strategy that they employed was community engagement. Smirnoff is helping the expansion efforts for LGBTQ's flagship Village Angels initiative in Manchester's Gay Village. The organization uses volunteers, local authorities, and emergency responders to help make nightlife a safer space for LGBTQ members. The Village Angels initiative has helped nearly 100,000 people since 2011. And with the support of Smirnoff, the organization established a new chapter in Westminster in 2018. Smirnoff's local impact revealed commitment to use inclusive marketing as a tool to drive community change. The next strategy was highlighting individuals in the non-binary and trans community through numerous short-form documentaries and ads. This worked because it connected real people with unique stories, crafting this intimate brand image, which contrasts with the fact that Smirnoff is the world's largest vodka brand. This created proximity and empathy in the consumer base, and it also drove a record number of volunteer signups for the LGBTQ Foundation. And finally, they relied on experiences. In partnership with Spotify and transgender artist Honey Dijon, the brand created a feature in the app for users to identify gender biases in their music preference. The initiative asked music venues and institutions to sign a pledge to advance gender representation in the industry. The campaign drove 567 million earned impressions and increased the brand's value by $1.2 billion from 2017 to 2018. It worked because it was speaking to a common bond. Smirnoff used music as a platform to really rally consumers around an unconscious bias. Tapping into a digital channel, Smirnoff used technology to authentically create customer experiences while increasing brand awareness. Now, the research that we've done over the last several years has provided us with numerous examples like this of brands that are inclusively thinking, practicing marketing with purpose, and building strong, authentic relationships with their customers. From this, we've built 2 industry resources that really detail the research. They lay out these examples and provide strong, actionable recommendations on not only the reasons why you should market with purpose, but also a detailed view of how. You can learn about understanding data bias and how it can affect your campaigns, the 9 emotions that are associated with inclusion and how to apply them to your product marketing. And these resources will also give you a look into the language and imagery that can provoke that sense of inclusion, as well as guide you on the importance of remaining authentic to your brand. They give you insight on how to apply these learnings and the best tools that are available to get the job done. As researchers, we have found that 41% of retail consumers agree that marketing and advertising today overlook certain forms of diversity. 85% of women say that films and advertising do a poor job of representing women. However, as advertisers and marketers, we have the power and the responsibility to change that. As mentioned earlier today, today's consumers are expecting brands to be authentic and representative, and brands have the power to create change. Thank you for joining me today as we learned about the power of marketing with purpose. Today, we strongly believe that our best collective future depends on an inclusive today.